everyone, and welcome to Geek History Lesson. I am Jason, a very special holiday episode. Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson. Welcome to your Mind University, because you have stumbled onto the podcast where we take one character, construct, or holiday-themed film from pop culture and teach you everything you need to know about it in about an hour. And this week's a little bit different because it's holiday time.
Yes, it is the holiday time. No matter what holiday you celebrate, we on Geek History Lesson this year, we've been doing a deep dive into superheroes and all these comic book movies. And we're not going to do that this week. You see, Ashley and I, we just got back from our American Thanksgiving vacation. And, we decided that it's a perfect time to dive into one of our favorite holiday movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, Ashley?
Absolutely.
Do you want to reveal to our listeners what is one of our favorite holiday movies? What's the movie we're going to talk about today?
I don't know how it could be anything else other than the Jim Henson classic, The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah! Woo! 1992. It's the 30th anniversary. This is going to be a lot of fun because, Ashley and I are a big fan of the Muppets. We're a big fan of Kermit the Frog. It's going to be no guests. It's just going to be Ashley, myself, and the Muppets. We're going to watch the movie. We're going to give you a retrospective review on it. We're going to give you some trivia, all the good stuff that this podcast loves to cover. And Ashley, I want to ask you really quickly.
Yeah.
How does it feel? I mean, look, we love superheroes, right? Let's get that out there. We love superheroes, correct?
True.
You're on the witness stand right now, and I am badgering you as a hostile witness. We love superheroes, right?
What am I swearing on? What do we put our hand on in the court of Geek History Lesson?
The hardcover
Robin,
of
year one?
The hardcover of All-Star Superman.
Okay, yeah, that seems adequate.
Okay,
yes, we love superheroes. True.
Okay, cool. All right. Did you swear on the All-Star Superman?
I did, and I had my fingers up like a Girl Guide.
Very good. Okay, we love superheroes. We love comic books. We love superhero movies. Correct?
True. Yes.
Great.
True.
All right, great. But sometimes you want a break.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we want a break. Nothing
also,
wrong with that.
there are superheroes in the Muppet. Like, let's put some respect on Super Gonzo.
Hey, you know what? Michael Caine is in this movie, and he's technically a superhero. He fought Jaws once.
Also, he's Batman's butler and daddy.
Yes, he is.
Daddy Batman.
He is Daddy Batman. So this is going to be great. It's going to be a nice change up. Actually, what are you looking forward to with rewatching The Muppet Christmas Carol and chatting about the most here?
One of my all-time least favorite Muppets features fairly prominently in this movie. So I can't wait for the hot take on that and everyone who's going to drag me on social media for it, but that's okay. I am excited to... This is the only version of A Christmas Carol that I find acceptable in any way, shape, or form.
Uh-huh.
And
are you not a fan of like Christmassy movies in general?
No, but I hate A Christmas Carol.
Got it.
Charles Dickens, 0 out of 10, overrated, remove him from the canon. I can't stand Dickens. And this is one of my least favorite Dickensian things that has ever been. I've auditioned for this play a number of times.
Is there anything in the style of this movie that you're not a fan of or that you are a fan of?
I actually think that this is like the best presented version of this movie. It has my all-time favorite version of the Ghost of Christmas Present. It's one of those big, scary, human-y type Muppets.
Yeah, but forget all the Christmas Carol-y stuff. We'll get into that. But I'm talking about specifically like the tone of the movie, the feel of the movie.
I'm looking forward to the uplifting stuff. I'm looking forward to... Nobody gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling the way that the Muppets do. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed this version of this story so much.
This is a pretty family-friendly movie. Like, there's no sexy times in this.
There's also no scary times. Some of the early film versions of A Christmas Carol are pretty scary.
There's no monsters. Yeah, there's no monsters in this. It's great. All right, so I'm pretty excited about this. Muppet Christmas Carol. This is going to be a nice, refreshing change of pace. Don't you agree?
I agree wholeheartedly.
Awesome. So we're going to take a break and we're going to watch this movie and we're going to watch possibly what some might call the best Christmas movie.
No.
What? Who is that?
Nope. That's wrong.
What?
Wait, what?
Who's in our Zoom? Who is this in our Zoom?
Bloop. Hi.
Is this Niecy Nash? I heard a bloop.
Who is this Jeremy Skinner of the Jason and Jeremy John About Justice League podcast?
I should hope you'd recognize your best friend's voice.
I did recognize Jeremy. We recorded a couple weeks ago. What are you doing? How did you get the Zoom link, by the way?
Well, I jammed your frequency.
Yeah. Oh man. How did intern Brago help you out with that?
No, I didn't. I have a frequency jammer, and you
Okay.
can do anything with a frequency jammer.
Are we recording Justice League tonight? Is that,
Nope.
did I get this dates wrong?
Oh, am I guessing on Justice League again?
Yeah, is that what's happening here?
That's a
No.
beloved episode. I'm going to give myself that credit.
You are
gonna-
very welcome to guest on Justice League whenever you'd like, though, for the record.
Are you
Thank
gonna Are you gonna watch Muppets Christmas Carol with us?
No.
Yeah.
And in fact, neither are you.
What?
What?
What do you mean? Jeremy, we're gonna watch this movie. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna watch this movie. The best Christmas movie. We already said
I
this.
mean, you're going to take a break and watch this movie at some point in the future, maybe, but that's not what we're going to do here today.
Okay. What
Have you guys looked at the list of movies that you've covered this year for your retrospectives?
I don't know about you, Ashley, but I never look back at our episodes. I forget it. Once they're in the past, they're in the past.
Forget them immediately.
Yes, immediately. I run away from them.
That's only half a lie.
Well, we're here at the end of the year, and you have a pretty glaring miss. And it's even more offensive
Hunger Games.
that it's a Christmas movie, too. And you're going to talk about the Muppets?
Did we miss like the Star Wars Christmas holiday Lego special or something like that? Did we miss this?
Well, I mean, probably you missed that, too. But that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. What are you talking
A little movie from 30 years ago, 1992. Ringing any bells?
No, I mean
Muppet Christmas Carol?
Yeah, my Muppet Christmas Carol. Yeah, 100%.
No, not that one.
Aladdin?
Quite possibly the best superhero Christmas film this side of Shazam and Iron Man 3.
I was just about to say Iron Man 3.
Not a Christmas movie.
No, what are we
Iron
missing?
Man 3, it totally counts as a Christmas movie. It's a
Mhm.
Shane Black joint.
What movie are we missing here, Jeremy?
Batman Returns. The ultimate Christmas movie as far
Oh,
as I'm
boy.
concerned.
Oh,
The
boy.
ultimate Christmas movie.
The
So-
ultimate Christmas movie.
Wow, that's a big statement there. That's
It's
the most-
got multiple people jumping into Christmas trees a la Kiefer Sutherland, and I don't know what else you want.
I don't understand that Kiefer
Is
Sutherland
Kiefer
reference.
Sutherland in this movie?
Google Kiefer Sutherland jumping into a Christmas tree and have fun with that.
Okay, did he do that in 24 or something like that?
No,
Was that before he got sober?
drunkenly did that one night. I activated my home speaker. Sorry,
Did you jam its frequency, as some would say?
I did. I jammed its frequency. Same way I got into this Zoom.
So, but, I mean, Jeremy, look, yeah, you are correct. We did forget Batman Returns this year. I don't know, the debate on it being the ultimate Christmas movie, some might have offense at that, but like, we were really looking forward to watching a non-comic book movie this week, Jeremy.
Well, I'm here, so we're not going to do that. Plus, to be
What?
fair, I'm really giving you very little options. Take a look at your HBO Max.
Oh, it just activated. Why did
Yeah.
you do that?
Don't tell
I'm
HBO
jamming
Max
your
that we're
frequency.
password sharing.
Wow. I'll tell you what, ever since the Discovery merger, HBO Max has just fallen to hell. I mean,
I mean, personally, I still think it's great, but I
do
could
too.
jump into any streaming service if I wanted to.
oh my
Or any
God, that's
Christmas
kinda-
tree.
Look, here's Stranger Things.
Oh my God, it's not even on HBO Max, and somehow it's playing now.
No, I switched it to Netflix. Yeah, I
This
can
is,
do any
this is
streaming
more Stranger
service.
Things than I've ever
But
watched.
no,
up
we're
to
not
this
going to watch
point.
Stranger Things. Here's,
Okay.
We're back to Batman Returns.
Oh, we are back to Batman Returns. Okay, yeah, I see the Warner Bros. logo right now. Well, I mean,
After you watch this movie, you'll realize you can do anything with a frequency jammer.
or a plastic McDonald's tie-in cup. Yes,
Absolutely.
I have those.
They were made of glass. Thank you so much.
And those were from Batman Forever.
The glass ones were from Batman Forever,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, the plastic ones were
Boy,
Batman Returns.
I'm off on a good foot right now.
You're outclassed already, and your frequency has been
this movie-
jammed.
This movie did have some excellent Happy Meal toys, though, for the record.
I think I had the Catwoman little purple kitty car. I'm pretty
I
certain
had
I
the
had
penguin on the little duck thing and the Batmobile that split apart.
Listen, Happy Meal toys aside, Jeremy, like, we don't want to watch this movie right now. So, like, how are you going to force us to watch
I
this
jammed the
movie?
frequency. You don't have an option. You literally can't play anything on your
Okay.
HBO Max except this right now.
Ashley, I don't think we have a choice here. Like, it's either watch Batman Returns or never watch anything ever again.
I mean, I still have to finish the latest season of Love is Blind, so I don't see how there's any other choice except for us to watch this right now.
Oh, Jeremy, can
Plus,
we watch
I'm
Love
literally not going anywhere until we do.
Oh, boy. Could we watch Love is Blind first and then go Batman Returns?
No, but I'll stick around and watch Love is Blind with you afterwards. Catherine really likes that show.
That's a fair compromise. Okay, so I guess I guess we're gonna watch Batman Returns instead of Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh boy, this is my second Batman movie from this franchise. I can't wait.
So have you seen this movie, Ashley?
I sure have not.
Ever.
You haven't seen it at all, ever.
No. I've
what
seen whichever
a treat that you're in for.
I've seen whichever other one Jason and I talked about on Geek History Lesson. I don't remember which one it was.
We did Batman and Robin several years ago, and that was a pain.
I've seen that one.
Okay, what do you know about this movie?
Clooney and or Val Kilmer is Batman in it.
Wow.
Chris O'Donnell is Robin in it.
Off to a great start.
Oh boy, I love. Yep, this movie
is perfect.
This movie,
I didn't know how perfect this was going to be.
Literally nothing about this movie, and
I thought we were all doing a rewatch. This is even better.
No, Ashley, I was pretty certain. Ashley, I don't think
Ashley, I was an infant when this movie came out, so I was not allowed to watch it.
Ashley, have you seen besides Batman and Robin? Have you seen any of the other 90s Batman movies?
No. I have seen the first Michael Keaton one.
Uh-huh.
I saw Batman and Robin, and then I saw Batman Begins.
Batman Begins not in the 90s, but okay.
No, I know, but I mean, that was my trajectory in terms
closer
of live.
Closer to the 90s than now, though.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Wow, that's depressing. In terms of live action Batman, no, I have nothing.
This movie made me feel old. Just to say that.
I love that Ashley has seen the bread of the 90s Batman sandwich, and that all of she hasn't seen the meat, the lettuce, or the tomato.
Arguably the two best ones, I think.
Yes, I agree. And I also love that what she was remembering was from the wrong one.
I was like, is this one not the glass cups?
No. This
I
is not
had
the
one. I had the one with Robin on it though, and I thought it was so cool. When
Ashley, you're going to be quite disappointed. There is not one single scene of Robin in this movie.
There's no Robin in this
There's
movie.
no Robin at all. Not even a little bit.
I almost swore. There's no Robin in this?
No Robin in Batman Returns. It's only Batman.
Sorry.
It's only Batman.
That's devastating.
Robin only shows up in Forever for the first time.
Hey, I promise, though, that this is a great movie.
Well,
you're going to love it.
You claim it's the greatest. You claim it's the greatest.
It's the ultimate Christmas film is what I claimed. I didn't say that it was the greatest Batman film, but it is the ultimate Christmas film.
What would you say is the best Batman film?
Mask of the Phantasm.
That's a good. That's a good.
Which
also, by the way, doesn't have Robin in it, which is truly devastating.
Jeremy, I'm gonna
and fun fact: Mask of the Phantasm released on Christmas Day. Not a Christmas movie, but released on Christmas Day.
But it gives you all those warm vibes of Christmas, doesn't it?
It does. And it does absolutely.
Wasn't Mask of the Phantasm released the very next year after this movie in like '93?
I believe it was. Yeah. That sounds right.
Jeremy, I'm going to need you to rank all the Batman movies, and I'm going to need
and then
you
rank all the Star Wars movies.
And then rank all the Star Wars movies as well.
Oh, God. Okay. All right.
Just rank all the Batman movies.
Do I have to rank the Star Wars TV shows included in that, too?
God, no. Please, no.
Okay.
But you have to rank the Lego games, though.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to do the Skywalker saga, the complete, do that, tie all that into one bow.
I know you are a big fan of Batman. What is your number one Batman movie? Like, what would you put on top?
Like, honestly, my number one Batman movie, and this is going to sound fake, but it's 66.
Oh,
it's the movie between
Batman
season
66,
1 and season 2 of the TV show. It's got everything. It's literally got it's got double the villains of this film.
I think it is double the villains of most.
Yeah.
Batman
it really went
movies.
full out. It's got
crooked floor.
goons getting dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
It's got riddles about canaries with machine guns.
It has nuns, a marching band.
Yeah, it introduced the Batcopter and the Batboat.
Bat shark repellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Batman versus the shark.
The whole oceanic line of anti-bat sprays, in fact.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
The shark repellent's just the only one we see used.
All right, cool. All right, so this is going to be interesting. I'm going to be very intrigued to see if Batman Returns becomes Ashley's #1 Batman movie after this watch. So listeners, I'm sorry if you tuned in for Muppet Christmas Carol. I guess we're going to watch that next week. We're going to go watch Batman Returns, and we're going to take a break. But after that, we're going to come back after a commercial, and we're going to be hearing Ashley's thoughts for the first time ever on Batman Returns. So don't change that bat channel.
Let me unjam this frequency for your ad real quick.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Frequency
we'll
unjammed.
We'll be right back. Okay, and we're back if Jeremy has unjammed the frequency. Or Jeremy
have.
You have. Thank you, Jeremy. So now we are back. We have all seen, we are forced against our will to watch Batman Returns. Ashley has now seen, we live in a world where Ashley Victoria Robinson has seen Batman Returns. How do you feel, Ashley?
I have now seen 2 live-action Batman movies.
Because of Geekism.
Yeah.
Wow. How does that make you feel?
Ancient.
What?
Very tired.
Speak on that.
Yeah. Does it make you feel like a penguin man that lived in the sewer for 20, 30 years? 33 years exactly? Exactly.
Yeah,
the age of
of
Jesus?
Christ.
Yes. let's throw my parents under the bus like that. Absolutely.
What do you think the Jesus metaphor they were trying to do with this penguin man was about?
I don't know, but it does seem like it's such a specific number, does it not?
Yeah.
I mean, Burton seeing an ugly, not even ugly, but like not traditionally attractive white guy as a savior really just feels accurate and spot on given the oeuvre.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of Burton, let me give everybody a download on the 10-cent origin of this movie, because we thought we were watching Muppet Christmas Carol and we watched Batman Returns. Batman definitely returned. Here's the 10-cent origin of Batman Returns. It was directed by Tim Burton, screenplay by Daniel Walters, story by Daniel Waters, and Sam Hamm. Sam Hamm is the writer of the first Batman. It was released on June 16th, 1992. It has a running time of 126 million. Had a budget of $80 million, and it only made 266 million.
Wow.
So Ashley, you saw Batman Returns for the very briefly, before we get into like specific scenes and stuff like this.
Yep.
I want to hear like just your general, overall, fresh thoughts, especially since you thought you were going to enjoy a Christmas movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you did enjoy a Christmas
movie. And you
movie.
did.
So, no, I am incapable of enjoying a Christmas movie. That is a scientific fact. If Christmas is in it, I am unhappy. Here's like a caveat, I guess.
Okay.
I actually knew almost everything that happened in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But as I explained to Jason, the Batman movies pre-Batman Begins are kind of like the Star Trek movies pre-2009 Star Trek. I don't know which title goes to which story. So I actually knew most of what happened in this episode because I had heard Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin drag this movie previously. So there's that. We had this interesting experience watching the movie where about halfway through, Jason said out loud, "This isn't a good movie, but I'm having a nice time watching it with you." And I feel like that really sums up my experience of this movie. Like, this movie is objectively bad.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things wrong with it. The sexual assault overtones are astonishing.
Rampant. They're rampant.
Even for the 90s. Like, I don't know how Michelle Pfeiffer could have felt safe on set, particularly given the fact that a bird almost pooped in her mouth and the discomfort that she expressed with the costume.
Every penguin scene is about him trying to grab a boob.
Which is also wild because we know that Danny DeVito is like a notoriously lovely human person.
Yes, he is.
And like all the kudos to him for giving an absolute 14 in this performance. Like, he showed up and did his freaking job on set. But I did not enjoy watching this movie. I would not watch it again, but I would never choose to put it on.
So many double negatives. It's taking me a second
I'm an
to
English
parse
major.
Jeremy,
I'm a published award-losing author.
So you watched this a couple days ago, right?
Yes. And then I watched it again just now.
Oh, so you've watched it 2 times in the last week. What are your overall just impressions of Batman returning?
I mean, I don't know what you guys are talking about when you say this movie's objectively bad.
Okay, continue.
Like it's not. I mean, like it's got the structure of a movie. You know what I mean? It's got the bones. Like
Is that
it's
a
got all
plus?
the pieces. It's got clowns, possibly
One of them is Doug
appropriating Native
Jones.
American culture. Maybe I'm not sure. It's got 2 villains. It's really up the ante from the first movie.
The bat, the cat, and the penguin.
Yeah, like you said, Danny DeVito absolutely came to play. Like this is a great performance out of him.
And he's basically wearing a diaper. It's like frankly embarrassing for an actor of his talent.
No, it's terrible. And it's preposterous that it takes so long for them to get him into normal clothes.
Yes.
Like it's really weird. But
and then he puts the onesie back on for the final act.
Yeah, because screw that. He's an animal. He's cold-blooded. But it's also Michelle Pfeiffer at her absolute baddest.
That is the truth of this movie. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is awesome.
She's the only reason this movie I think is worth a damn.
Because
she's really good at it.
It's a not a good version of Catwoman, but she's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this version of Selena Kyle sucks. Like she sucks as Selena Kyle. She is not comic book Selena Kyle.
Unrecognizable.
I mean, she's beautiful and like I would absolutely dress like that right now, like unironically. Like I think she has very good looks in this, but her as Catwoman is so immensely watchable. And the moment I love it so much. I've shared this still on the Geek History Lesson Instagram before, where she pops up behind that weird cat head that's just decaled on all the windows.
That's the Max Schreck department store symbol
logo. Yeah,
beautiful. And like Burton at his worst is all style, no substance. And I think that comes through in this movie. And then there are like some shining highlights in spite of him and not because of him.
Do you all want to hear some of the behind the scenes of the scripting of this movie?
Yes.
So basically Sam Hamm's script was basically thrown out immediately. The guy who wrote the first draft, it was apparently much more connected to the first Batman movie. And
Tim Burton didn't want to do a direct sequel, right?
Exactly. Tim Burton,
I grew up in Burbank and my life is hard.
But apparently they took enough. Apparently it was always going to be like a Penguin Catwoman movie. So
also the WGA has very strict rules about how people are credited.
Tim Burton hired Waters to write his first draft in mid-1990. Burton's only instructions on this script were that Catwoman had to be a sexy vixen, and the only connection or reference to the first movie that he wanted was he wanted a reference as Vicky Vale as Wayne's ex-girlfriend.
He's like, honestly, I don't even want Batman in this.
Yeah. Apparently, Waters wrote a Batman that was very bitter and cynical and actually was tired of protecting Gotham City. Michael Keaton refused most of this dialogue and cut most of it out of the script, thinking that Batman should barely speak in the movie, which he doesn't really do. Eventually, Waters and Burton fell out during this, making Tim Burton had to hire Wesley Strick as sort of a script doctor. Wesley Strick is not credited for this. And apparently Wesley Strick's additions were streamlining dialogue, lightening the tone of the movie, and then Warner Brothers executives asked that Wesley Strick add a master plan for the Penguin for the third act, and that is where the kidnapping plot of the Gotham's firstborn sons and the Penguin missile plots come from. Apparently, they did not show up in the draft until right before shooting.
Yay.
So can you imagine, but so this movie like basically was just Oswald Cobblepot running for mayor and the Catwoman running around. And that was the movie.
I mean,
which is basically an adaptation of an old Batman TV show.
I was going to say,
is it?
In defense of this plot, that does sound like a Batman comic book.
That's true.
Like not an arc, but that does sound like, 22 pages of Batman content.
But to me, it's, my overall thought of this movie is that this is the movie that starts the problem statement that you hear about every Batman movie or most superhero villains, actually, superhero movies, that it's more about the villain than it is the hero. This movie is called Batman Returns. Batman barely does anything in this movie.
Yeah, and Michael Keaton is very much like, I came here to pick up this check.
Like, Batman has one scene in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, and it seems like Batman never left either.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why did
he can barely bestow the returns title when he's just in Gotham and we're the status quo.
Yeah, maybe they should have had like a vacation scene. Like maybe he was out in like Aruba or something like that. Where would Batman vacation?
Batman 2, Batman Goes Hawaiian, and then you name your third movie, Batman
Capri.
Returns.
Yeah.
Which Jason only recently learned existed.
Where does he what?
In Capri.
Oh yeah. Capri?
Yeah.
Capri. Yeah.
Capri.
No, he goes to Capri.
It's a Capri.
And he drinks Capri Suns. Anyways, that's a joke for only me and Ashley. Anyways, what do we think about? Okay, so I have a lot of fun facts for this movie, but I'll say them for later on. But just to like set the tone of this, Jeremy, did you know that Warner Brothers and most of the marketing department and all the tie-in partners, because this movie had a lot of tie-ins, hated how dark this movie is?
It's not on its face kid friendly.
Well, it's about robbing children and murdering babies
again, and lots of sexual assault.
Yeah,
overtones.
A big problem or contention. We can talk about the movie here. Is the opening of this movie is the Cobblepot family deciding to throw their deformed child into the sewer grate.
Yes.
In Gotham Park, played by Paul Rubens, by the way, as Oswald Cobblepot Sr.,
who also went on to play him
Diane Salinger from Pee-wee's Adventure.
Oh, so he pulled in a couple of his old
They were
pals.
both from that movie, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the reason why Paul Rubin plays Oswald Cobblepot Sr. in Gotham as well.
Yes. Completely different version of that character, though.
But what do we think about, Jeremy, what do you think about the opening of this movie? We get this flashback, we get the Batman theme as we're watching the little Moses cradle go through the sewer. These sewers, by the way, are ginormous. They are so
huge.
We have seen Batman
big enough for a Batboat to get through.
Yeah.
Batman and Bane fight in the sewers before. So
that's true.
Maybe they have a lot of rain and unlike Los Angeles have proper drainage.
Is that vehicle that he drives at the end, is it called a Batboat?
I don't. I
thought you meant what the baby was in, and
it's a cradle or a bassinet.
It's a pram. Yeah.
So, Jeremy, tell me about what you think about the beginning of this movie. Like a little bit of the red Triangle Gang. What was the name of these clowns?
Red Triangle Gang.
Doug Jones's clown friends.
That's right, and he very much.
That's his breakout performance.
That is Doug Jones. 100% looks exactly the same, just with more hair.
I pointed that out to Flash, and he did not believe me.
That was Doug Jones?
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, baby, he's in the background of so many things.
Yes. But Jeremy, what did you think about talk about the couple opening scenes of this movie, overall impressions, things that stood out to you. What did you like? What did you hate?
I like the opening sequence well enough, my problems with the title notwithstanding. But I really love the first attack of the Red Triangle Gang. I think that's a really great sequence. And I think this movie actually opens pretty strong in the first act. We do get some pretty good Batman action,
According to the Bat Wiki, the vehicle is called the Batski Boat. All one word. The Batski Boat.
Batski Boat.
Batski Boat. I found the toy for it from Kenner. It doesn't look anything like it.
Shocking.
The Batski
I used to have it when I was a kid.
Did you really?
I have multiple versions of the Robin action figure that was definitely Damon Wayans, and then they white face painted it.
It's $350 on eBay. Woo!
Well, if anyone has one in their
garage,
I'd
kept it.
List it now.
The all-terrain Batski boat with retractable skis and firing torpedoes. According
they
to
made another Batboat for Batman and Robin as well, and I had that one too.
Oh, that's right.
This was prime buying movie toys for me. Period.
I will say that the opening clown attack is a strong opening. It's a strong opening, and I will say that I think the shot, even though it's so ridiculous, the shot of the bat signals being projected into Wayne Manor and then Michael Keaton standing up is an iconic shot.
You stated when we watched that when you imagined this era of Batman,
that's what I see.
Was what you thought of.
Yeah. Although it would be beyond ridiculous that somebody would install bat signals on top of their roof and
yeah, and it's not actually.
Not talk about all the
it's not
stupid
actually.
Things Batman does.
No, we gotta talk. What's the point of doing this if we're not going to do that? So are those? He's not rerouting the actual bat signal. He's just that he's got a bat signal detector, and then it activates his own mansion-based bat signal,
which he has two of them.
Right?
He has two of them.
It looks like three even.
Yeah.
Where it's boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. So
how does it know what room in the house he's in?
What do you think the
do all the rooms in the house have a perfectly shaped window for the bat signal to come through?
What do you think the contractors say when he asked them to install a Batman shaped projector on top
honestly,
of the roof?
like, let's be very frank. If this is real and if Bruce Wayne is really Batman, then he has to like H.H. Holmes every contractor who comes into his home.
That's what I was just about to say.
There's no way that those people make it out alive. There's a mass grave.
Oh my God.
Of day laborers behind Wayne Manor.
So like every contractor in Gotham is like, it's the Wayne house. You take it.
Well, up to a point, right? And then he just makes the Bat Kids do it.
Oh boy.
Part of your training is general contracting.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Ashley. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Max Schreck. This is not a character from the comic books. He is just sort of gray-haired businessman with the dopiest son named Chip. Hey, Dad. Hey,
can we talk about
we're gonna go talk to the masses, Dad.
How good that casting on his kid is, though?
It does look like his kid.
Not related to him at all. Looks like him, and he nails. It's like they were put out for somebody that can do a good walk-in impression.
So we looked up the gentleman who plays Chip Schreck.
Andrew something or other.
Yeah. Andrew Burarsky, and he's kind of a stuntman kind of guy. Like when you look at his filmography after this, he just does a lot of like fight scenes and action movies.
Yeah. Well, he's got the build for it.
Yeah, so I think he's a stunty. I think he's a stunty.
And I looked him up too because I was curious.
Well, it's funny. Ashley thought that he was the villain of The Mask. Jim Carrey's The Mask.
Yeah, he looks like the Mandalorian. Yeah.
But what do you think about the addition of the real villain of this movie is just evil businessman guy?
Yeah, I have limited use for Christopher Walken in my life. That for me was not a plus. Living in the time we do now, every time the bad guy is just generic business guy feels deeply ironic. It feels like we're being spanked in a way that we didn't understand at the time. It's fine. The evil business person is a pretty classic Batman trope. I just didn't really care for this, and I certainly didn't care for that hard wig that they put on his head. Awful wig work in this movie, I have to say. Very
Was that
poor.
a wig, or did Christopher Walken just show up on set?
That was a wig. I mean, I'm not saying that Christopher Walken didn't just show up like that.
Maybe that was Christopher Walken's wig.
But that's a wig.
Maybe he just like showed up and they were like, I guess
I found this. I want to wear it for Max Schreck.
He was like, just wait till you see me in Burton's next picture. You're going to love my little pointy teeth. I don't know when
pointy
Sleepy Hollow happened.
It's a classic Burton trope. You got to give me the pointy teeth.
That happened in 1999. like 7 years after Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. I think he made like 3 or 4 movies in between those two.
Who knows? I don't.
Yeah.
He's fine. It's fine. The son is way better because he understands that he is in. He understands the tone, I think, better. Like he's just there to be a putz, and he's really funny.
His speech
he's got some good punchlines.
His speech to the masses, Christopher Walken's speech, is just like, "Lucky, I don't know. I'm just some schmo that got lucky.
Yeah.
I'd like to give you more than bubbles.
Yeah.
But I can't." And like that's kind of the entire speech.
Yeah, and
I want to give back Sasumi.
Yeah.
He also has like a girl who looks like Christine Baranski as that sexy Who lady.
Yes.
Who kind of like shows up and then again almost gets sexually assaulted by the Penguin toward the end of the movie.
What do we think Max Schreck's plan is here? Because we keep having scenes about
is he fighting Batman? Like what is the point of him?
We keep having scenes about the power crisis that Gotham City is going to run out of power, and he's going to build some sort of power plant that's going to solve the crisis, but everybody, even Bruce Wayne, tells him that there is a power surplus.
Yeah.
I understand that he's probably going to get rich because he's probably going to own the contractors for building the power plant, but it just seems like it's another power plant. It doesn't seem like it's like, a solar
it's a power
or water
capacitor that he's building. He's going to stockpile power because that's Selena Kyle figures that out, and that's why he kills her. Because he's going to suck up the power in Gotham and store it, and then in the future be able to sell it back to Gotham.
So he's just building a battery.
For his son. Yes, he's building a giant battery.
Gotham is literally on its way to being Scotland, a country that is so energy efficient. It sells energy back to the international grid And this guy is like, but like, what if I had all the power?
It seems strange, though, because Gotham is always like eternally night. So they had lights on all the time.
I know. It's like Mr. Burns put up the thing that blocked the sun and they just built Gotham City underneath it.
Well, when you look at this movie, too, that you can tell like
they only built like that one square. And a couple other side streets.
With the sewer grates and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they said that this took up over 50% of the Warner Brothers lot during shooting.
They did.
They said it was one of the most massive sets ever built.
I mean, movie lots are not as big as people think they are, so I don't find that totally surprising, but it does. Gotham feels very small in this movie.
It does, because it all takes place like right in front of the Shrek department store.
Yeah, because they shot it all in a fake city instead of in like Glasgow or wherever.
You know, which is something that I really would have liked to have delved into a little bit of the Shrek department store stuff instead of this whole power angle. Like they could have really done something interesting, sort of a twist on the Superman villain, the Toy Man, by making this guy on the surface, everybody's like, oh, it's like FAO Schwartz. Like, he's lovable. He gives toys. But then under the surface,
which would have been fairly devious for a Christmas time, like a weird Santa Claus. But you could also have done
like evil Macy. You
could have done the sort of mirror narrative that we got from the last episode where like, from the last movie and from all Batman movies where like the Waynes are these rich philanthropists who really look after Gotham. And then you could have had the Shrek family be like these sort of greedy robber barons who are like captains of industry but don't give back.
Well, I understand that this is a superhero movie, but I think that's like that's a thing that I have a problem I have with this movie is I don't like Max Shrek in this movie. I don't know what purpose he serves because we know right out the gate he's despicable and he's a gangster, like out the gate. And so to me, at this point, I'm just like, well, why didn't you just make him like a nameless gangster, just like you made Jack Palance in Batman 1?
Well, or God forbid, I know
his name was Carl Grissom. He wasn't nameless.
Yeah.
Or we didn't do this at the time, but like you could have.
He's my number one guy.
You could have grabbed any name from any random Batman issue. Again, I know that was not a thing that we did during this era, but at least then there might have been some resonance in the fan base. I don't know.
Well, and Max Schreck is a shout out to the German film actor Max Schreck that played Nosferatu.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it seems like it's reaching for something, just not from its own source material.
God forbid Tim Burton didn't reference some German expressionism in his art.
Well, notably, he doesn't read Batman comics.
Like he invented curly trees. And they still put his quote on the front of a lot of copies of The Killing Joke, stating, "This is my favorite Batman comic."
I also believe, if I'm correct on this, that the Batman theme that we hear throughout Batman Returns that was created for Batman the movie,
it's a ripoff of a German opera.
It's a ripoff of a German opera by Danny Elfman.
Yeah. And if you ever listen to it, you will hear that that is lifted straight from one of the movements. Yeah. Yes, 100%.
Let's talk about Catwoman, because Max Schreck. See, I thought Max Schreck killed Selena Kyle, not because she found out that he was building a battery.
A woman.
I thought, no, because he says those lines where she's like, oh, I got into the locked files or something. He's like, the locked files, how industrious. Like, like he said that he pushes her out a window because of
I have script notes.
Yeah.
Well, after he does that, that's where she explains that she knows it's a capacitor as opposed to a power plant.
You've made much more attention than we did.
Well, you watched it twice. He's seen it twice. It's his favorite Christmas movie. We've determined
this. Is that what I said? I say it was my favorite Christmas movie?
I'm very certain you said that, Jeremy.
I don't think so.
Let's rewind the tape. Yep. Okay. You said it.
I think what I said is that ultimately it's a Christmas movie.
I thought you said it was the best Christmas movie.
No. No, I think I might have committed to that when I was trying to convince you to watch it, but now here on the other side, I just said ultimately it's a Christmas movie.
Let's talk about Catwoman's resurrection.
Gross.
All the kitties nipping at her heels.
I mean, your cats will eat you if you die in your house.
Yeah, let's talk about the only supernatural version of Catwoman.
Yeah, so let's talk about, like, is that the idea that these kitties resurrect her?
No. In the Halle Berry Catwoman, she becomes
you're
fast. Right. Like, the cats literally breathe Egyptian god energy into her.
So is that what we're saying happens in this movie?
I don't know what happens in this movie, but it's disgusting.
I'm trying to figure out how did Catwoman get resurrected in this movie?
She got nibbled on by the... it gives me... Have you ever seen the movie Cat People?
No.
The horror
Yes,
movie, and
I
it's
have.
like it's instead of like werewolves, it's cats. It's very sexy.
Yes.
It's a good movie.
It's very sexy.
It feels like
it's
yeah.
like 1982 sexy.
Yeah,
like,
there's like a lot
as
of
sexy as
nudity.
you could get. Yes.
But it was probably rated PG. But anyway, it gives me whoever wrote or crafted the scene, so probably Tim Burton, watched Cat People and was like, well, we can't have nudity in this. And this was what he came up with instead.
All right.
That tracks.
I will say this, and this is, we have supernatural Catwoman.
Whose fingernails fall out when she loses a life.
Or her little sewing curls
yeah.
or whatever. I don't know the exact term for those implements, but I will say that
sewing curls.
My favorite sequence in this entire movie is her tearing apart her apartment.
It's very creepy.
Talk about the sign.
Yes. So like my favorite, I think the most brilliant thing in this movie, and I've seen they sell the sign, is her little neon hello there that she breaks and it says hell here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that whole sequence with the music.
And when she's framed in the door and the cats are looking at her.
Yes.
It's really good.
There is like, I feel the sadness. I feel her. I feel the music.
That's like post year one Selena Kyle energy.
Yeah. I don't know. There's very much the like, what am I doing in this like hellhole of a city feeling?
I mean, I imagine that's how everyone, like the rent in Gotham must be amazing. Like, why would you stay?
And it's crazy. I didn't realize.
Well, that's a pretty small apartment.
Yeah, it's a very small apartment.
$80 a month.
I think if I remember right, in Batman Forever, like the Riddler lives under the train. Like the train is literally shakes his apartment, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. And he basically lives in a closet. Like this is when I saw her.
Well, Bruce Wayne could be doing more.
Of course he can. When I remembered her apartment in this movie, my immediate thought went to Riddler, where I was like, yeah, there are just some really crappy apartment buildings in Gotham City.
This is why people turn to villainy.
Yes. But this sequence happens in the first 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like shocked by this. Oh, yeah.
This movie might as well be called like The Birth of Catwoman.
Well, Ashley, what do you think is successful? Like, what do you think
Michelle Pfeiffer.
What do you think Catwoman does? What's successful about her in this movie? And what do you think really doesn't work besides the supernaturalness of it?
Yeah, I can let the supernaturalness of it go. That's fine. Again, I think her persona as Selena Kyle doesn't work and that's because I am a comic book reader. Like that is not Selena Kyle. I understand trying to do the contrast between like messy, unfocused young woman and like focused, driven cat burglar, but Selena Kyle to me is much more capable than that. And if she was working as an assistant to Max Schreck, there would be some endgame there. Shrek? What's his?
Shrek.
Okay, like the ogre.
Yep. Yes. Donkey.
I don't like her when she's just this like loser girl in the city. I really like it. It does nothing for me. This character also lives or dies by Michelle Pfeiffer's physicality. You can definitely see the doubles in the fights. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can even see their faces very notably on camera. Again, I have notes for the editor as well. But she really, I don't necessarily think that her movements are predicated on the movement of a cat, but she really transforms who this person is after this experience. Even in the Selena persona as well, with who she was before. And I think that is why we care about her. And I think that is why it is successful. And she actually seems like there's something going on beneath the surface, which is something that, like, again, Michael Keaton is like there to pick up his paycheck. He's not giving her very much.
Yeah. Oh, Michael Keaton paid $11 million for this movie.
Yeah.
Which Tim Burton had to fight the studio because Michael Keaton almost did not return for Batman Returns. Because they weren't going to pay his full thing. Okay, so like the middle of this movie is they do this fake thing with like, oh, the Penguin Man is back. And they try to set him up and he just looks through a bunch of files and goes to the graveyard and everybody's enamored with the Penguin Man. And Batman just sort of like drives his Batmobile around and like looks through the window at Oswald here and there. Is just bothered by Oswald. They don't explain it at all, really. He comes across.
Yeah, it's all based on the fact that he's like kind of an uggo.
Yeah, and then I don't remember. I can't remember. Like, is Batman just kind of like wandering around, and then he wanders into Oswald when Catwoman blows up the store? Like, what are they? They're just kind of all just to be seen to be like standing around.
I think he's there for the cat burglar.
I don't know if he knows that's happening.
I don't know.
I actually don't know either.
See,
also Alfred, like nothing against Michael Goff, but like Alfred is like asleep through half of this movie too.
Alfred kind of sucks in this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's
because,
nothing
like,
against the performance. It's all in the writing.
Yeah, he's openly dismissive of almost everything that turns out to be a credible threat.
Yes, he does give Bruce a lot of grief about, like, why are you interested in this penguin bat?
Yeah.
And it turns out to be of critical importance.
Turns out Batman's
he's
paranoia
rude to a
paid
person.
off.
He's rude to a person who's selling newspapers about it. Like, what do you want out of that guy, Alfred? He's doing his job.
That guy, by the way, is one of the like high below the main cast. The newspaper salesman is one of the highest ranked people on IMDb for some reason.
He is one of those guys that I've seen in a billion movies.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of people in this that are in a bunch of other things, the clown that actually steals the baby is Mac's dad on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had to look that up today because I saw it and I was like, that's got to be him. And so yep, absolutely.
Well, we also have to talk about the monkey-toting organ grinder, Vincent Schiavelli.
Yeah.
Who is in a million movies.
He apparently got that role because he was friends with Danny DeVito, which is a parallel to the first Batman movie because, what's his name? Tracy Walters, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy Walters was... Yeah, Bob the Goon was cast because he was friends with Jack Nicholson.
So there's a couple of funny Danny DeVito stories that happen on this movie. So apparently that monkey apparently was a terror on set.
Yeah, I heard that.
And the first time, Danny DeVito tells this story that apparently the first time they were filming with that monkey, they put him down on the floor, released him, and apparently he screeched at Danny DeVito in the penguin costume and ran right for him and bit him in the nuts.
Oh my God.
And Danny DeVito,
Jesus Christ.
Danny DeVito says, thank God that costume was padded.
Yeah.
Okay, I have several. Here are two hot takes that I have about like the entertainment industry in general.
Sure.
One, no more live animals. and I found it really upsetting how many live animals there were in this movie.
Yeah.
Two, no more children.
Yeah.
No more children actors. It's bad for them. Elijah Wood is like the only person who escaped unscathed.
Haley Joel Osment's doing okay.
That's true as well. But like it is. I found like the monkey in particular, like every time he showed up, I was just like, I'm upset that this animal, like cats and dogs, I'm like, at least those are domesticated. And I still don't like cats and dogs on set either. Like we have enough CG that we don't need it. We've all seen RRR. We don't need any more real animals. But I found the monkey like super upsetting. And that is a deeply messed up thing because if he had actually bit Danny DeVito, that monkey would have been put down.
Yeah.
From no fault of its own because it should not have been in that environment in the first place.
Well, let's talk about a little bit about that.
And Danny DeVito looks objectively horrifying. And I mean that as a high compliment.
Let's talk about a little bit of the middle. Again, this is where I think the movie has a pretty good beginning. And I think this movie has a pretty good ending. But like, it seems like
meanders around in the middle a lot.
Yeah, it's like I said, like we were all three of us.
There's some fights.
We were like,
there's some cars.
Yeah, we
someone goes to the sewer.
All three of us on this podcast just were like, were they just all just kind of standing around waiting for Catwoman to blow that store up? What were they doing in this one block set that they built?
Also, for Catwoman, not nearly enough diamond thievery in this movie.
No, let's talk about a little bit about.
Yeah, she doesn't steal anything. Oh, from some fun facts about Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie. Michelle Pfeiffer said later on that she said that when she filmed the bird scene, she hadn't even considered the safety issues with that. And she says now that she was like, I would never do that now.
Again, that poor bird.
Yeah. The other thing is the shot of her bullwhipping the mannequins.
Oh, yeah.
It is actually Michelle Pfeiffer.
You can find an unbroken take of it online.
Yes, the take that is in the movie is the first take. And apparently the crew erupted when she did it because she was very worried. And also it was a real bullwhip. And everybody was like, I don't know if she's going to be able to pull this off. And she pulled it off first take.
Yeah, you can find online the video of her doing it and the crowd applauding.
Yeah.
It's pretty excellent. She also, during training, sliced her trainer's face open with that bullwhip.
It reminds me of, I don't know which Alien movie this is, so Jason will say, but the one where Sigourney Weaver makes the shot
the
over her back.
The half court shot.
Alien Resurrection.
Alien Resurrection.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, that's so unbelievably badass. Like, if you needed any more proof that she was the right person for the job, voila.
Let's talk about Batman and Catwoman's romance in here. So they set up
what romance?
Well,
there's no chemistry between these two human beings whatsoever.
Well, there is, but it's all on Michelle Pfeiffer's side, even though Batman is thirsty as hell in this movie.
Also, he should be he's punching so far up with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Can we talk
He's also a billionaire.
Yeah, that's true.
Can we talk a little bit about, there's something that I noticed on this rewatch. There's something off about Michael Keaton in this movie.
Yeah, he's bored. He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
He's there to get his paycheck.
Jeremy, did you get that impression too?
I mean, I think that Michael Keaton has always played it a little more weirdly casual than he should. For me, it reads as more of a reflection of the first movie than, I really don't want to be here for this, but I could absolutely interpret it.
There are some just weird Batman line readings in this movie that bumped me out of the film, where I said to myself, I was like, that's the take that you picked?
Then there's also amazing ones like Eat Floor. It's high fiber.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I like the mistletoe. It's a goofy line. The mistletoe will kill you if you eat it.
Yeah.
It will though.
But you are correct. It is all Michelle Pfeiffer. It's like one-sided. But I will point out this one thing that I like in Batman Returns is that I think the Batman Returns cowl of the costume is the best Batman cowl that has ever been made for a movie, because
I think it's the best design, but I think it's poorly executed.
Well, it's a little loose in his head, but if you notice, they made his eyebrows like very angular and they made his nose very angular. And the way they light it in this movie, you're just like, that's a cool looking Batman image. That looks cool. And it's something that I don't think many of the other Batman movies have been able to pull off.
I agree.
Because in Batman 89, it's too rounded. But like they really made it angular. And so it really makes him pop. What do we think about Penguin's sort of his framing of the Ice Princess murder scene, where he tries to frame Batman because his doggy grabbed the Batarang earlier in the movie, the the Batman program that just flew in a semicircle and knocked all those people out. They just stood there and waited for it to hit them in the nose.
If that thing could knock people out, it would have just taken that dog with it.
Yes.
it would have just kept that dog and flew on its path. Like,
yes. So because of
Batman should have a poodle, not the other way around.
Because of that Batarang, the Penguin is able to somehow print out blueprints of the Batmobile. And then he frames Batman for the murder of the Ice Princess because they pushed the Ice Princess off the building. And then he built a small children's toy ride model of the Batmobile.
Yes.
To just drive Batman into a wall.
It looks like he found one that existed in that universe and modified it with the equipment to jam the frequencies.
Yes, necessary, to jam the frequencies. Yep.
Because that's how all this works. It's all frequency jamming. And then you assume remote control of the Batmobile. It makes perfect sense. I don't get why you have a problem with this part of the movie.
Well, I'll tell you the thing that I have a problem with is that
they don't explain that it all comes from the Batarang?
Well, yes, and that also that
no, it didn't all come from the Batarang. He left the Batmobile unattended, and they examined it for a little while before they went back.
There's actually
later.
There's actually a deleted scene that they.
I know you told me that, but I was like, look, it's supposed to be a feat that Jason Todd can get the tires off of this thing. So excuse me.
Well, let's also
push my glasses up my nose.
Let's also talk about the dumbest special feature of the Batmobile of all time.
Oh, you love this.
That somewhere in Gotham there is this tiny alley that is only 4 feet wide.
Yeah.
And so Batman designed the Batmobile to just become a skinny tube.
It's an absolute escape measure as opposed, because then you have to go back and get the Batmobile pieces, which I'm glad we didn't see the Batmobile again in the movie after that.
It's
like,
funny.
That rang more true to me that we lost those pieces and we have to deal with that.
I'm so used to the Nolan Batman that I was like, oh, the little motorcycle's going to pop out.
I mean, that is, I think 100%. The Bat Pod coming out of the tumbler in Dark Knight
is a reaction to
is inspired by this.
100%.
Yeah.
Also, that's not how physics work. I mean, I know physics like don't exist in superheroes, but
I also think they made a toy of that, and I want to say they called it the Bat Train or something like that.
Batcordian.
Batman Returns. So I want one of you guys to talk about. Oh, it's called the Bat Missile.
Of course, it is.
It's called the Bat Missile. Everybody, talk about the Jeremy, let's talk about your favorite part. What do you think about Batman using a CD with a bat emblazoned logo to like skip the CD to make Gotham citizens realize that Oswald Cobblepot is bad?
And it has a record scratch feature.
Yeah,
too, where he can roll that back. I mean, it makes perfect sense. He has all kinds of advanced technology. So of course in 1992 he would have that. Like that all absolutely checks out for me. Frequency jamming is, I mean, that's why we're doing this here today. So I'm not going to knock frequency jamming. It's proven effective method.
It is a proven effective method. Ashley, what do you think about the charity ball where Batman and Catwoman finally realize that they are Batman and Catwoman because they feel each other's injuries? And then they say the mistletoe. And then, of course, your favorite part, Penguin shows up with a giant ducky.
Yeah, why a ducky? I mean, Burton puts duckies in a lot of stuff, so maybe that's his kink or something.
We got to have a vehicle for kids to buy that the Penguin isn't.
We needed to make a McDonald's toy
But I don't know if the ducky is that, like, his Batman 66 purple car with the word spiral on the end is like perfectly good.
Mm-hmm.
So the charity ball is interesting. I actually think it's one of the better moments, better like set of scenes in the movie.
I agree.
You pointed this out to me, which is that when they meet, they're the only two unmasked. And I think that's a really brilliant
smart choice.
Piece of storytelling. And it also lets all the extras fade into the background, and it lets your two stars really pop out. I think the choice to have them feel each other's injuries is really smart. Like that is very comic book Batman and comic book Catwoman to me. Sitting in front of the biggest fireplace in the entire world.
Well, that was a bit earlier, but yes, Bruce Wayne.
You could put multiple bodies. There's a whole tree burning in that fireplace.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne's fireplace is, I think, 9 feet tall.
It's so big. We were like trying to figure out historically if this was an accurate size fireplace or not. I actually think, I think this is one of the better sequences, and I think there's a reason why this sequence is one of the things that comes to mind because I've seen this clipped out or referenced a bunch of other times. Like Arrow directly lifts moments from this gala.
Yeah.
It's even reminiscent of in BVS when Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are all at the charity gala
and
together.
Lex Luthor's party. Yeah,
it's not quite the same, but it definitely feels like there's a line through pop culture history to those two moments.
Jeremy, let's talk about this. Penguin steals some kids. Batman sends him a note through a monkey. And because Batman stops all the stealing of the firstborn sons and daughters of Gotham, now Penguin's plan is, I'm going to put missiles on my penguin friends. I'm going to send them into that one square block of Gotham City that we built for the movie. And we're just going to blow up Gotham. Is this a good climax? They made toys of these penguins, by the way.
Is this active animal cruelty a good climax?
Action figure spotlight. Ashley and I have a friend who is a big fan of this movie. And as a Christmas gift one year, we gave them the Penguins with Missiles action figures that they made for this movie. You got a 2-pack. You got 2 penguins.
Nice.
Yeah. So there. Jeremy, is this a good climax for a Batman movie? Penguins and then the bat ski boat?
Elements of it are a good, like all of the personal beats when we get to that part with Selena and Max all work for me, but the penguin plan is kind of dumb. Why do you need to send them all to the same place? They have missiles. Can't you aim the missiles?
Well, the bat ski boat also to me is a problem because 1, I don't think it would functionally go through that sewer. And then 2, he was always going to come to a dead end. He's going to crash that thing no matter what. He could have just drove to where he needed to go and then just went down in the manhole cover.
You would think, but the Batmobile's damaged.
Oh, that's right. But he could take the bat missile. I saw.
Yeah,
the toy.
but that thing can't hardly turn for shit. It almost tips over whenever it turns when he's trying to escape.
That's
Just
fair.
kind of like how he can't really turn either.
That's true.
That's right. Yeah, he's got to turn his whole body.
So we get to this face
There's
off.
one part in the movie where he looks up and it looks like he's limboing because he has to bend back so
100%.
far.
We get to this three-way climax of Max Shrek, Batman, and Catwoman. And I really like this scene, except for the moment that I think is one of the goofiest moments in all of superhero moments. I have never forgot this scene. The fact that Batman is able to peel off his cowl like it is paper.
He destroys it.
You got so mad about this.
And
also,
it's because it implies that that's what he has to do to take it off every time. And every time he goes out as Batman, he has to put on a new one of those masks.
It implies
like
that a stiff breeze could knock him over.
It's also incredibly wasteful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But also,
it really
it's the
is.
very famous shot that, like, right before he rips it off, you can see that he doesn't have the makeup on his eyes.
Yeah, they do that with Affleck too. When he
Yep.
I think it's in BVS when he's walking up the stairs, you can see the eyeliner, and then he rips it off, and there's suddenly no eye makeup on it anymore.
But Ashley, how do you feel about Catwoman's idea that she is more obsessed with revenge and that she basically like gives up 8 of her lives to kiss Max Shrek on the mouth as she has the what is it? It's the taser.
It's a taser, yeah.
Yeah,
And doesn't she pull down a power line as well?
She grabs a power line and puts the taser in between their mouths and kisses him.
It's a bit of a trope of like the possessed woman, which I don't really care for. I also think they make him impossibly difficult to kill. I think she could have killed him much easier.
She could have just snapped his neck.
Yeah.
Shot him in the face.
It's fine, I guess.
Stabbed him in the stomach.
The use of the taser is almost creative. Like
Kicked him in the balls.
It's something atypical. Should tased him in the balls.
Chopped off his hand.
It's something that we're not used
Poisoned him.
to seeing in this space. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But like,
Blowing him up with a penguin missile.
I mean, I didn't have any feelings when she succeeded. Like, I didn't really care.
Yeah.
To be frank.
Brought an iceberg zoo thing down on top of
Are
him.
you going to do that for the rest of the episode?
Probably.
Okay.
Well, it does keep the tradition going. Almost every villain in this movie, in this franchise, kills their boss at some point. Joker kills Carl Grissom. Selena Kyle kills Max Shrek. Edward Nygma kills Ed Begley Jr. I don't remember his character's name.
I don't either.
And Poison Ivy kills Dr. Jason Woodrow, played by John Glover.
There's also, with the exception of Batman and Robin, the first 3 of these 4 Batman movies all take place during holidays. It's like Gotham Centennial, or Bicentennial. It's Christmas, and then Batman Forever is Halloween.
Oh, that's right. I didn't think about that.
And I don't think Batman Returns is set during a holiday, but they're all like holiday movies, which is so weird. I will say this. By the way, I hate the penguin funeral of the penguin. They're not even touching him, and he just like slides into the water.
You can see the cart that he's rolling on slide out in the water too.
Yeah. The puppet penguins, the cuts from the puppet penguins that were like made by Stan Winston to the real penguins are very awkward because the puppet penguins are like R2-D2 that they barely move. So I do love the last scene of this movie. I like the idea of Bruce seeing the silhouette of Catwoman, picking up the little black kitty, and then him and Alfred saying Merry Christmas to each other. And then the final gifable shot of Catwoman raising up as the bat signal goes, I think is beautiful. By the way, not Michelle Pfeiffer. That shot was actually filmed 2 weeks before the movie premiered because the executives asked for sort of a happy ending with Catwoman, and that's what they decided to do. So it is a body double because they couldn't get Michelle Pfeiffer.
Because she was off filming.
She's filming something else.
I'm going to say A Midsummer Night's Dream.
I'm going to say Dangerous Games.
Wherein she plays Titania and Christian Bale plays Demetrius.
Interesting.
It's the only 2 she plays.
So before we get into some fun facts, any final thoughts about the ending of this movie, Jeremy?
I really like it. I think it was a good idea to go back and add that scene, even if it did cost $250,000 or whatever. I just kind of wish this franchise had done something else with Catwoman after this point.
There was a lot of talks. There was a lot of conversations in the mid-90s about doing a Catwoman spinoff movie, and it just never happened. It never came together.
It just became the Halle Berry vehicle.
It became one of the worst comic book movies ever made. Ashley, what do you feel? Any final thoughts about the climax of this movie?
It's fine. It all kind of falls apart. It's fine.
Any more amazing insight you want to give us on the climax of that movie there?
I just.
What do you expect out of somebody I forced to watch this?
That's fair.
I don't
That's fair.
think there's anything to say. Like, so much of this movie is convenience.
It's a lot of convenience in this movie. Yes.
And like, yeah, there's a couple like cool visual moments. Like, this movie soars visually, but like thinking back on it, I'm like, what happened?
It's forgettable.
We watched it like 3 days ago.
It's very forgettable.
And it's all I can do to keep it in my brain. Like, the moments that I remember are the ones that actually, like, the Selena transformation. I obviously I remember the weirdly long take of Penguin going through the sewers. I remember the scenes in the mansion. I remember the ball. But if you like asked me to tell you what happened in this movie, I think I would struggle. Frankly, like if you were like, tell me right now what happened, I'd be like, Penguin got abandoned and was sad, so he tried to run for mayor. Christopher Walken pretended like he hasn't murdered someone in real life and threw a woman out a window. Catwoman got her face eaten by some cats, which is a thing that happens in real life. Her and Bruce inexplicably almost slept together. And then I think Selena tased Max Schreck to death. I don't remember much of what else. Oh, and I remember the weird press conference in the mayor's office.
The classic scenario, the classic tale of being abandoned as a child and saying, I'm going to run for mayor.
Well, look, if we want to go down the rabbit hole of politicians with daddy issues who have to prove how powerful they are, we can open that door.
We'll be here for a very long time. But okay, we're going to talk about some fun facts about Batman Returns, and then we're going to get these guys' ratings and who they think is the best actor in the movie. So we'll be back right after this. All right, and we have returned, just like Batman. Jeremy has unjammed the frequency.
Yes.
Jeremy, are we unjammed?
We're unjammed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Except for the jamming that is allowing me to be here in the first place.
That's right. Yeah, that's weird Zoom saying. Okay, so here are a bunch of just random fun facts about Batman Returns. Jeremy said earlier, that's correct. 50% of the Warner Brothers lot was taken up with the Gotham City sets. They filmed the first Gotham City in London, so this is the first quote unquote big budget Batman movie to be filmed in America. Burgess Meredith, who played the Penguin on Batman 1966, was asked to play the Penguin's father in the opening of the film, but he was ill at the time and could not do it. Danny DeVito, the Penguin, remained in character between takes.
That's irritating.
Can you imagine that set? This is like, rah, 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 rah.
I read that was sort of an extension of the fact that he looked so creepy that people stayed away from him.
Very famously on Lord of the Rings, David Wenham also said that he never ever talked to John Noble, and it helped them kind of preserve that animosity between them. So that doesn't actually surprise me if people were just like, I don't want to sit by this guy.
I've heard this before. At about an hour and 30 minutes in the movie, Danny DeVito refused to stand in for the scene where the Penguin gets pelted by rotten food by the angry mob.
Fair.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton was paid $11 million for this movie. Batman does not wear boots in this movie.
They're Air Jordan 6s.
Yeah, they're black Air Jordan 6s that are connected to his pants.
Okay.
Yeah. The cat suit of Michelle Pfeiffer was so tight that she often had trouble hearing other actors and her own voice. And
wow, it's almost like that's completely unnecessary.
Yep. And Tim Burton often had to tell her to lower her voice register because she would often shout her dialogue because she couldn't hear it.
Almost like it's not necessary.
Yeah.
They vacuum sealed her into that costume.
Yeah, she was sewn into this.
Didn't she go through like 18 costumes or something crazy?
Yeah, I heard she broke like 18 costumes over the course of this filming. Yeah. Sam Hamm's original screenplay draft dealt a lot with Two-Face from the first movie and also had the Penguin and Catwoman going after hidden treasure.
Yeah, Max Schreck was supposed to be Two-Face, right?
I think it was originally, they were trying to get Billy D. Williams back originally.
Well, but Harvey Dent was the Max Schreck character was going to be where Harvey Dent kind of fit into this movie.
Basically, yes. Yeah,
Where's Harvey Dent?
Mm-hmm. The original script draft of this movie, the Sam Hamm direct sequel draft, had a lot of things and continuity and subplots from the first film. They had Gotham City gift shops selling fragments of the destroyed Batwing from Batman 89. It had further revelations of stuff that Jack Napier, the Joker, had done. It even had Bruce Wayne proposing to Vicky Vale during the film. And Tim Burton was like very uncomfortable with making a sequel. And that's the reason why they went away from it. Now, eventually, elements from the original draft of Batman Returns script were used in Batman Forever, most notably the idea that the villains would invade the Wayne Manor and destroy the Batcave. So that was taken from the original draft of Batman Returns. Now, here's the part that I know Ashley's most interested in.
Oh, boy.
This movie was originally intended to introduce Robin.
Oh, yes, I knew this. Tim
Burton collaborated with DC Comics artist Norm Brayfogle, very famous Batman artist. And Norm Brayfogle designed a Robin costume for the introduction of the new Robin, who would have been called Tim Drake.
Woo!
Because at that time, Warner Brothers was very interested in synergy. The winning costume actually was very designed, also had elements from Neil Adams, had a new Robin symbol and a bow staff. Which was influenced by Norm Brayfogle.
Classic Tim Robin.
Kenner Toys made action figures based on this design. And when Robin was eventually written out of the script, Kenner released the toys anyway.
Yep.
And that's why there is
they're painted white.
And they're painted white because originally it was supposed to be Marlon Wayans, I believe, was the original Robin. Yeah.
Yep,
until they eventually cut him. The new Batman 89 comic book that's written by Sam Hamm actually introduces that character, and his costume is very
It's a good series.
Yeah. So originally, do you want to know who were the first two actors considered for the roles of the Penguin and Catwoman?
Tell me.
Rowan Atkinson was originally considered for the role of the Penguin, Mr. Bean himself. And the original actress considered for Catwoman was Jodie Foster.
Wow.
What an interesting
But there were literally
choice.
Dozens more of both of those
that
were considered before they wound up with who they wound up with.
Yes. No,
Jodie Foster, that's so interesting, like definitely gives me like Selena Kyle, like again, post like Batman Year One vibes.
I've read the story that Danny DeVito took the film because he's friends with Jack Nicholson, and Jack Nicholson was like, man, you're going to make so much money off the merchandise. And then this movie didn't do well on the merchandise. Actually, this movie is a big reason why Tim Burton did not come back for the third one, because Warner Brothers and all its marketing and consumer products partners were unhappy as hell with how dark and how unkid friendly this movie was.
Yeah.
So that
makes sense.
There's nothing in this movie that would inspire me to want an action figure.
This movie had McDonald's tie-in Happy Meal toys, and like I had the cups, the plastic cups, and you had the little bat discs that you see him throw out of the Batmobile at the clowns. The reason why the Batmobile does that is because they were supposed to be the same discs that were on top of your soda cups at McDonald's.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
That's radical.
I had all four of those cups. Anyways, Jeremy, let's get to this. Who is the best actor in Batman Returns?
It's got to be Danny DeVito. With Michelle Pfeiffer is a close second, I guess. But Danny DeVito is absolutely iconic as the Penguin. You know, this is still the Penguin in my head. So I've got to give it to him.
Ashley, who's the best actor in Batman Returns?
I would give it to Michelle Pfeiffer because she's the only one who is likable or watchable in any meaningful way. Jason, who's the best actor in Batman Returns?
I think it's Michelle Pfeiffer. When I think about Catwoman, I think about this Catwoman. Not the Selena Kyle.
Yeah,
I think
Catwoman.
about this Catwoman.
Yeah, I understand.
Jeremy, what do you think is the legacy of this film, like 30 years later? I know you said like it's the best Christmas movie of all time. But beyond that, what do you think is the legacy? And, you know, of course, like explaining signal jamming to the masses.
Yeah. Well, I did say ultimately it is a Christmas movie.
I'm pretty sure you said best.
I don't think I did. Anyway.
I'm going to speak to my lawyers about that.
I think that it is, you know, like you said, I think that we've seen the through line of some of the stuff in this movie appear in other Batman media. I think it was relatively successful overall, like not necessarily on the toy and merchandising side of things, but I think that this had like a pretty sizable pop culture impact
It was a box office hit. It wasn't as big as the first one, but it was a box office hit.
Yeah, it wasn't a failure or anything by any means. And it was the second time at bat for this version of the character. So I think it worked. I think it's influential. But I don't know how much direct legacy it's going to have to a younger audience moving forward. I think it's more influential for the people that grew up watching this at a maybe inappropriately young age.
Yes, I agree. Ashley, what do you think is the legacy of Batman Returns?
I think Jeremy actually really nailed it. Also, there are echoes of this through pop culture, like the Selena Kyle costume, the Catwoman costume is directly referenced in Batman the Animated Series. It directly inspires Cassandra Cain's Batgirl costume, which is the best Batgirl costume that's ever Batgirled. This version of the Penguin with Burgess Meredith also loom large over all subsequent versions of the Penguin. So there are a lot of echoes of this movie. I don't know if the film itself remains super relevant. I think Jeremy nailed that. I think for people of a certain age or who were either coming up or born right around this time, I think this movie's probably fairly significant, but I don't know if it's directly going on to impacting a ton of creators moving forward. And I think it will be interesting to see if in 30 more years, if this is even in the conversation anymore.
Interesting. It's
I think
interesting.
that's pretty fair.
Because I actually think the biggest legacy of this movie is the fact of the sequel with two villains.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is the movie that introduces that idea into the superhero genre. And also,
you have a Catwoman arguably doing that, like, anti-hero, is she really a villain thing? That
I'm just going off
right now. I understand.
The tagline of this movie was the Bat, the Cat, the Penguin.
Yeah.
And the poster, every poster had the three of them.
Yeah.
It's a great poster for this movie, by the way, too. And this is also the legacy of this movie, that when people were always like, oh, I think there's too many villains in this new movie, they're talking about this movie.
Yes.
It comes from this movie, and it comes from basically this franchise, because
which is wild, because it's not like this was like if this was a bad movie that was successful, like if this made $1 billion, it would have made sense. But it's interesting that that's the lesson that was learned, given that this movie was fine.
Yes.
Right. Like economically.
But when you think about it, so we go to Batman Forever, we get Two-Face and Riddler. When we go to Batman and Robin, we get Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, and Bane. We get triple.
Marvel does this too.
Yes, but I'm saying, like, that's where it comes from, this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bane is a glorified goon. He's secondary to Poison Ivy, I feel like, and Batman and Robin, though.
Yeah, but he's the only reason I say that he's a villain of that movie is because we also have three heroes. We have Batman, Robin, and Batgirl.
That's true.
So, like, to me, it's, every time you hear somebody talk, or I remember when every time you do a Spider-Man movie, or when the Amazing Spider-Man franchise was happening in the second movie, and they were like, oh, it's the Green Goblin and Electro, and people would be like, double villains? I don't know. That comes from this movie. Yeah. And like, that is, in my opinion, like, that is the biggest legacy of this movie, is the fact of the double supervillain, and also making people wary of, like, I don't know, there's only one here. Like, are we giving too much time to the villain over the hero? I mean, even The Dark Knight sort of has the double villain problem.
Yeah.
When you think about Two-Face and Joker both being in that movie.
Yeah.
So there you go. Jeremy, on a scale of 1 to 5 Bregos, the intern cats, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst, what would you give 1992's Batman Returns?
I mean, I'll admit that this is colored by nostalgia, I guess, but like, it's a solid 4 Bregos.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's not perfect or anything like that, but like, I do love this movie.
All right. Ashley, what's your rating for this movie?
I'm going to give this movie a 2 out of 5.
Okay.
And I'm going to remind people that 2.5 is exactly 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So 2.5 is neither good nor bad.
Well, you gave it a 2.
So I think it's slightly less than fine.
Oh.
I think the movie is pretty watchable.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I had a pretty good time watching it.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I think there's a ton of value in it.
Yeah.
I would never, if somebody told me that this was their favorite Batman movie,
mm-hmm.
I don't think I would drag them for it.
Mm-hmm.
I would reconsider how seriously I took their opinions. But I wouldn't be like, that's a wild choice to make.
Yeah.
Particularly if you were like young and your brain was really squishy when this movie came out. Like I can understand how you could be really taken with what this is. But I think for where I'm at right now, I think it's okay. So I'm going to give it 2 Bragos, but I think some people are going to think that I mean that harsher than I do.
Yeah.
So how about you?
I'm going to give this 2.5, right in the middle. I think this is a very Tim Burton-y movie. And what I mean by that is that it's more style than it is substance. And the style, I mean, this is, of the 4 original Batman movies, this is probably the in terms of look, the best one. This, there were a lot of shots in this movie that I thought were beautiful.
It is a beautiful movie.
That I thought looked really cool.
Burton movies are always aesthetically pleasing, even if it's derivative German, especially.
But like we talked about, there's a lot of times in this plot where I'm like, what's happening here? You know, like I was like, what are we doing? There's a lot of this movie where I just think that Batman is just standing around waiting for stuff to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and the Catwoman stuff is really good. But I will tell you this, if somebody were to say that this is their favorite of the 4 90s Batman movies, I think that's totally a fair statement to say.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I could understand that if this is your vibe for Batman, like why this would be it's not my favorite of the 4, but I do think it's in the top and not the bottom of those 4. So that's where I'm going to give it. So everybody out there, our recommended reading this week, of course, is going to be all Batman Returns related stuff. I'm certain there's some Batman Returns art books or something out there. Just go check it out at geekhistorylesson.com/recommended reading. Jeremy, if you're going to release the signal, you know, I'd like to end the podcast. That's okay.
I suppose.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, would you like to tell the listeners where they can find you? I know you have a podcast somewhere out there.
I do. You can find me on your Patreon on patreon.com/Jawiin, where I co-host Jason and Jeremy John about Justice League with you.
Oh, that's right.
And if you listen to that, I will give you an email address, and then you can email me there. That's where you can find me.
That's it. Nowhere else, because he's got
or on Venmo at Jeremy at Venmo.com/Jeremy-Skinner-8.
You know, I'll say this. If you want Jeremy Skinner to possibly signal jam a future episode of Geek History Lesson, maybe around Halloween time next year, and maybe he signal jams us to talk about the greatest Halloween movie of all time, Batman Forever. Maybe you should Venmo him $1 or $2.
Yeah, Venmo me. Let me know. I'll. I mean, I can do that if I want to either way. So it doesn't really matter if the audience wants it or not. But I would like to know if you do.
Oh boy. Ashley, where can they find you on the social medias and around the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at Ashley V. Robinson. The V is very important.
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter at Jawiin, Jawiin, on TikTok at Jason Inman Writer. And now it's time for Stick Around. Yeah, it's because you stuck through all the plugs. We're going to talk one last thing. Jeremy, is there an action figure from this movie that you really wish they would have made?
Well, first of all, hang on, Ashley. Have you ever considered changing your middle name legally to Very Important?
No. That's funny though.
Actually, Very Important Robinson.
You get to keep the same initials.
That's pretty good, actually.
My mother would never forgive me.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Right, fair enough. Just throwing that out there. Is there a toy from this I wish I had? I would like a bigger sized the Penguin's Duckmobile.
Really?
Yeah, I would. If I saw one of those for sale, I would be tempted to buy it. I think.
Wow. You know, I don't think they have made like sort of a McFarlane Toys or Marvel Legends type size action figure of Catwoman or the Penguin from this movie.
Well, I was going to say, even the Penguin toys they released for this movie weren't based on this. They were just repaints of the Super Friends Penguin toy.
Yes.
So there's never really been a Danny DeVito figure that I'm aware of. So I would potentially buy one of those if McFarlane made one.
I had that Penguin action figure. Yes, and it was a repaint. It was like they painted it black and red, and it looked like the comic book cartoon Penguin. It did not look like the monstrous Penguin from this movie.
Yeah.
So interesting.
So I would like either of those, honestly.
All right. Well, cool. Cool. I actually think you might, in terms of the Michael Keaton aspect of this, I think they're making like a Michael Keaton McFarlane Batman action figure for the upcoming Flash movie.
Oh, nice.
So we'll see how that looks. Anyways, okay. So Jeremy, are we good to at least, have we talked enough about your favorite Christmas movie of all time?
Yes, we have. We can stop this until I come back to talk to you about Iron Man 3 next year.
Oh my God, Iron Man 3.
Jason and I actually have like a very interesting meet cute for Iron Man 3.
We do, and you'll have to signal jam us again to hear it next time. Jeremy, thanks for forcing us to watch a movie that we weren't going to watch.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Next week, everybody, we will be watching Muppet Christmas Carol. I swear. I put my hand on the Batman Bible, and I'm swearing. I
promise not to interfere.
Jeremy will not be here. We are going to do Muppet Christmas Carol next week. So don't, it'll say Muppet Christmas Carol. It actually will be Muppet Christmas Carol. We swear. So it'll be there. Don't worry about that. So we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Jason. Hopefully the signal jamming is over and those little discs from McDonald's are cool. Inman?
I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson, and Professor Jeremy, would you please dismiss the class?
Oh, wow. Class is dismissed. And I think the word that you're looking for is